Hey there, it's Erin, and I've got some exciting news. We are actually all getting excited and preparing for the latest Salgado to arrive. If you don't know who that is, that's actually Rachel, who is our podcast editor. If you subscribe to our emails, you then remember her from her awesome weekly emails that recap the podcasts that come out. So Rachel's been our right hand woman for years, and she's welcoming little Isaac into the world, who will join his brother Ian. And so we thought is a great opportunity. One, we want to give her a breather. She needs maternity leave. She needs to walk away from editing. But we notice how many new listeners, or maybe even old listeners, go back and listen to old episodes. And we've got like 200 episodes. So it's just amazing when we look at our statistics, how many people scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and go even all the way back to episode 1. So we thought this is a great opportunity to sprinkle in some of the best, most listened to episodes that people just love, that they keep going back to, that also are probably, a year plus old. And so we want to make it easy too for you, so you don't have to scroll and scroll and scroll. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this podcast from the vault.
I am officially not employed at this moment. Like, I could no longer resign myself to do things that were actively undermining my authenticity, destroying my sense of integrity, hurting my health. And if it does not serve your authenticity and if it does not serve your health and your wellness and your lifestyle or what you're trying to achieve, you have to figure out for yourself how to walk away, whatever it takes.
Welcome to the Because podcast with Erin and Nicole.
Wait, are we recording?
Yes, this is our intro. So we've been friends long enough to basically go from idiots to executives.
And then we got fed up with the fake working world, the rat races, and all the parts of our lives where we needed a costume to cope.
So if you're in, drop the superhero disguises and the photo filters and join us as we explore and empower authenticity everywhere. Everywhere. Hey, Nicole, did you know that I actually have free stuff to help people with their careers?
Is that like the free tough love career flogging that you give me every week on the podcast?
No. Yes, but a little bit nicer, a little more organized, and probably a tiny bit more helpful. My favorite is a free video course I call Unstuck Yourself.
Well, who doesn't want to get unstuck, Erin?
Yeah, exactly. So anyone can sign up just by simply going to BeAuthenticInc.com/unstuck.
I am your number one fan. I'm there already. Unstuck me, girl.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Erin.
It's time for another podcast episode.
Because you can't suck if you don't work. If you don't work, you can't suck, whatever. No work, no sucking.
Yeah.
Yay! Here we are.
Here, you're back.
We're taking it back to old school. We're going to do some talking tonight, some catching up.
Yeah. I mean, so for our listeners, if you've been a longtime listener, you know that this podcast has a arc to it per Nicole Licata Grant, right? Like it's there's the individual lessons and interviews, but there's us
Episode
sharing.
1, real life therapy from the virtual couch.
All I think about, like, the most classic of when we've just aired it out and said, hey, if you're feeling like this too, you might want to listen, is the Spanish meltdown. That was it was like a 2-part, I think it was a total of like 2.5 hours, 2 episode, where you were like in Spain, you were like giving presentations in Spanish, but even though you weren't told you were going to have to do that, like
4,500 slide PowerPoint.
Yeah. And
jet lagged. I had poison ivy, which they could not identify. It was.
And maybe the funniest part is we thought you hit rock bottom there.
I was like, oh my God. I was on that ledge. It was like a Marvel movie where I was like on the ledge and it's like there's a ledge below it and you don't even know it. You just think you're at like the ultimate eighth circle of hell. And you're like, oh, guess what? There's another ledge you can fall onto. Unfortunately, I'm not a superhero. And somebody pushed and no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that is, wow, we're going full circle tonight. But first I wanted to have a surprise for you.
I've been dying. You tell me about a surprise and then I don't.
Well, Erin, several times it's been mentioned, and you even brought up a story a couple episodes ago about lessons for your children, how they don't like Elf on the Shelf and doing it your own way and being authentic. And so you know me, I don't have an elf on the shelf. I don't have anybody to shelve elves for. So may I introduce you to Snoop on a stoop.
You bought it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I bought it. Oh, I tracked this business down in China and I bought the shit from some illegal website. And I know, and I understand that Snoop is not happy with the appropriation of his character. And so Snoop, I'm sorry. I owe you like probably, $25 for this. I'm going to find you. I'm going to send Snoop a check because I love this.
He's got no royalties. Yeah, he's smoking a doobie.
He got no royalties.
In a green Santa uniform.
He did not give the thumbs up on this. This is straight up trademark copyright. Impersonation, infringement. This is all the bad things you don't do. But guess what? I bought it and it's mine. So Snoop on the stoop is with us tonight. He's supporting us in this podcast. It's just making me feel like, he's also a year-round decoration. I just want to say, it's really timeless and classic. And I really can't wait for my parents to come visit and be like, hey, what's that on your mantle? Hey, what's that next to the priceless antiques you brought back from the Middle East? I'll be like,
it's Snoop smoking a doobie and a green Santa outfit.
Exactly.
Speaking of kids, before we get into talking about your situation, that sounded so bad. Did you see my tweet on what Mick said this week?
Brilliant. Also brilliant. Okay.
As an economist, I was wondering what your take was. So I
laughed out loud. Do you want me? I remember it well. If you want me to repeat it for you.
Oh, I have it. But yeah, so we were looking through the mail last night. My son Mick, who's 10, and we got like one of our first pieces of tax mail, right? And we were going through the mail and we're like, oh, and I was like, honey, you got a really great piece of mail. It was like, tax document, do not discard or whatever. And Mick, who's like simultaneously, playing with a hockey stick, which is what he's doing at all times, like fiddling with his indoor hockey stick. He literally just goes, taxes are our subscription to life.
Snoop is clapping.
I love it.
It is. There was a second line too.
And then, so he says taxes are a subscription to life. And I was like, oh my freaking God. And then a little bit later, actually, when I was asking him, what did you say again? Because of course he knew what I was doing. I was like typing it into Twitter.
He's like, you owe me $1, Mom. For the
and he goes, yeah. And then finally he said it. And then he like mumbles out, before you work, it's a free trial.
I'm like, somebody signed me up to this magazine subscription that I didn't want.
Taxes are our subscription to life. Before you work, it's our free it's just a free trial.
You can say that about a lot of things, but given that it's tax season, that's incredibly astute.
I actually sent it to my CPA. I was like, oh, just to make you laugh as you get into the, hell of the next 3 or 4 months.
That's a good one. God, Mick is this. He's a bright kid. May he always stay so irreverent and luminous, excited about things like taxes and God knows what else. Because I'm like, don't open that email, kid. Stay away.
Well, cheers to you and to our listeners. We wanted to talk today and just give you an update on Nicole's journey, which has been one of the, I think, the fun highlights of this podcast. She's been so gracious and like being a crash test dummy. So
it's all your fault, Erin, but Nicole Grant has left the building. I am officially not employed at this moment.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. It's your fault. Don't tell my mom. It's all your inspiration. That's
basically everybody I get close to quits. Like that was pretty much my golden touch.
I've been sitting on this news for a couple of weeks now, and I didn't really know what to say about it. And of course, there's a lot to say about it, not just about the leaving, but like how do you get to the leaving and what does it serve in others? I just hope that we've got a group of people who've been around us for a long time, particularly some who have known me for my entire working life, and I just feel like there's probably going to be this collective sigh of relief, be like, thank God I don't have to listen about this shit anymore.
Not even that. People are rooting for you. I mean, we've been through a lot of it. You've been so gracious to and vulnerable to share so much of the shit you've swam in. And it's the same shit that so many other people do. And there were many points where I was like, our listeners are, especially our really, diehard listeners must be just thinking, oh my God, it's time.
There's like a woo woo and a going on at the same time. I hear the chorus in my head, and I thank everybody for their grace and understanding and feedback and listening through this whole time. And I have to say, this moment right now and everything that's led up to it, my entire working life, everything, and all my time, talking with you and with our listeners, is that this is an exciting time, but it's also incredibly humbling. And it's exciting. It's a time of curiosity. It's a time of joy. But, I didn't get here accidentally also. And so I think that is a big part of it. Like the relief I feel is multifold, but it didn't come easily. And in some ways, there's a lot still tugging at my heartstrings, and I'm still working on, processing a lot of what has happened over the last really decade of my career, of moving on, of moving ahead, of just all of those things. It's not, I don't want to say it's not easy, but I also didn't feel like I was part of the Great Resignation either. I have been thinking about this for a long time. And I think that was probably readily apparent to everybody around me. I mean, obviously it was actively discussed where I was. And, but I also feel like I'm part of a movement. I'm part of a seismic shift, which makes me feel, both thrilled and excited and also kind of scared. There's a huge talent pool out there looking to reshape their lives. So I'm in good company, but I'm also in really good company. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I want to ask you and talk about some of the things, but I was actually telling you today, and for our listeners, I actually received 3 in the last week, 3 kind of SOS text calls about people at pretty senior levels that have hit a wall, have left, have, sort of SOS, I need your help. I need your advice. I need your coaching. I need whatever. And
I need to smoke a doobie.
That's what I prescribe. Just go smoke a doobie. Everything will be fine. And I kind of feel like everybody's talking about the Great Resignation because it's so catchy, but my head is already I also feel like, as we head into this new year, when I have so many companies, if you will, the position is we want to re-energize, we want to do better. We want to, now that we're sort of starting to crawl out of this crazy time of pandemic, or so it seems, we want to do better. But then I'm seeing totally different. I'm seeing it just the escalator continue to go up and up and up. And I can't help but think it feels a little bit like we're at the precipice. Say the word for me.
The precipice?
Precipice. And there's no T in there. It's like when people say my last name, Hatzakakis, and they're like, Hatzakakis. I'm like, where do you get the other K from?
Kakis? What?
We're not Kaka. I feel like we're at the precipice of a death spiral. A corporate America? Corporate death spiral. And
that's interesting.
Does that mean we all go to oblivion? No, but
no.
I also think, and this isn't the episode for it, but some episode I'll impart on you my vision on how this is all going to go down in a 10-year series of seismic shifts, which will eventually, I think will create good things if people the people that are willing to, look at doing things differently, and the companies obviously that also will be super easy to rise to the top. But yeah, it just feels like there's a little bit of it's not just resignation. Like a resignation, what does that mean? I mean, I failed at the actuarial field, but I understand an actuarial death spiral in how you price things and how you cannot get out of something once it's started and it's so bad. And it feels similar. If people are starting to walk away, and then after, 6-12 months after it's been coined, the great resignation. And so there's huge awareness, and things still escalate and continue to get shittier on a macro basis. Like, that's the start of a death spiral.
Right? And people think that, social transfers are going to change the world and make everybody lazy. Again, a topic for another day. But, for me, if there's anything in the great resignation, it's the word resigned. Like, I could no longer resign myself to do things that were actively undermining my authenticity, destroying my sense of integrity, hurting my health. And this has nothing to do with the company. When, we made this very easy on each other, and I have to give a hearty thank you to, the leadership that I worked with for a very long time. I mean, I love these people in many ways. I respect them deeply. I learned a lot. I spent 8 years of my life there. And, we made this transition easy on each other. And I'm like deeply grateful for that. But, it's funny. It's like what they say in The Godfather, they're like, it's not personal. It's just business. This is like what, The Godfather says, what Sonny Corleone says. He's like, it's not personal. It's just business. And like, there's a lot of truth to that. Like, in the end, this is just business. Like, it is business, which means like the business has to make a decision, and you have to make a decision within the context of that business. And like, if it does not serve your authenticity, and if it does not serve your health and your wellness and your lifestyle or what you're trying to achieve, like, you have to figure out for yourself how to walk away, whatever it takes. I mean, it might take being pushed out the door. It might take moving on to something else, but you have to really assess and know where you are and take steps to get there. And, in some ways I did that well. In some ways I did it terribly. And I'm happy to go into all of that as well. But, another thing that comes to mind is a lot of people have said things like, I work in a toxic environment and that's why I'm leaving. And it's like, a toxic environment is a very loaded thing, right? And it's different for everybody. And to me, when I thought about toxicity, like, it wasn't about a person, it wasn't about leadership, our new favorite term.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the work. Like, so much of what I did, I loved. It was something I built and I created it. But like, if it's no longer serving your best interest, if it's no longer bringing out the best of you, if it's no longer if it's not exciting you, if it's undermining your authenticity, like, that is toxic.
Yeah.
That is toxic. It doesn't, and again, it doesn't have to be personal. It doesn't have to be about a boss, about a thing, about a process, it doesn't have to be a thing. It's a feeling. It's a feeling. And it's like, I want to take that word toxic back, because, we put that out there as if it's somebody doing it to us. And it's like, actually, a lot of the toxicity I did to myself.
Mm.
Right. And it took me a long time.
Tell us more. What do you think?
So, what actually I had been thinking and planning for a while about wanting to make a change and didn't have a lot of energy to do it. I was stumbling over myself. I was having conversations both internally and externally at the same time. I wasn't making moves. And in some ways I was almost sabotaging myself, or I just wasn't
internally to the company, or internally to
yeah. Yeah, I was with leadership and people around me. Like, it wasn't a big secret. I mean, I'm a senior person. Like, you have to have these kinds of conversations, honestly. And I've been working with people for a long time, lots of transitions going on. But what I found was I was just really in my own personal death spiral. And I think, just to be honest, I think everybody knows this here. I probably have been living in some form of chaos, whether or not I wanted to admit it, for 3 to 5 years. Like, just absolute chaos, trying to just trying to keep all of the pieces together, like my personal life, my work life, my home life, my family life, like just COVID, like I have been in like personal chaos without wanting to admit it for like at least 3 years, maybe more than that, which coincided also with this position. But causation and correlation is not causation, but they just those two things coincided, right? So what really happened was, I think particularly was that I started experiencing this was a crappy year on many levels, but I started to experience a lot of like really weird health stuff. And I have been always like a very healthy person, right? If I can say one thing, it is listen, you have to listen to your body. You have to, because the minute that this happened, like the minute that this is also the craziest thing is you would think I would be sick the whole time and all that stuff. Oh, no. I managed to use adrenaline to keep myself going for way longer than I should. And Erin, adrenaline, it's a drug. It's a drug just like caffeine. And you can stay on it to beat out burnout and depression and unhappiness, or even excitement, enthusiasm, innovation. It can help you with all of those things, but it will run you dry. You cannot be in fight or flight for years and years on end.
I think it's a super, super important point. And I see this with other people I talk to, other clients I have. It's so easy to see the bad stuff that people are doing to us, the, unreasonable expectations, the extra meetings, the bad bosses. But we also have to recognize that there is an addiction to, and Shonda Rhimes called it the hum, right? We've talked about her TED Talk before, the Year of Yes, but in that TED Talk, if you haven't seen it, Shonda Rhimes, who's a total, badass producer.
Definition of badass, right? Yeah.
Right. She's amazing. But Shonda Rhimes in her TED Talk talks about the hum. She said, I was addicted to the hum. And she does it so beautifully in the TED Talk, so alliteratively and so poetically.
Of course.
That hum, which sounds beautiful, you keep doing it over and over. The hum is the adrenaline, it's the addiction. It's the other side where we can't see that we are part of that craziness. We are part of the reason that at 10 o'clock at night, we can't put down the computer. We can't say no to the meetings that we can't, and so, I think it's important that you talk about that part.
And let me just add, as a person who is fairly self-effacing and is, I don't want to say a unique personality, but I'm definitely a little bit tweaked, in some ways, that you can be as addicted to the bad as you can to the good, even at work. Like I take a lot of ownership for, where I was at the point that I had, held on too long or hadn't shifted or hadn't reconciled or spent time reconciling in my mind what I wanted with where I was or how, what I own that. But the minute the decision was made to depart and that things were modestly settled, not even, I immediately got sick.
Yeah.
And not just sick. I have spent months dealing with different calamities. It was as if and you would think oh, the curtain's lifted, stress, I'm going to go out and it's going to be rainbows and lollipops and unicorns. And it was the complete opposite. It was
a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Pressure cooker that finally popped.
Released the valve and I went down hard. First of all, I had the back issue that kept me on my back for weeks on end. It was what in God's green earth is happening? I've never laid on my back for that long, not even for fun. It sucks, it also, as a PSA to women, I seriously want to do some kind of podcast or blog or something about perimenopause, perimenopause podcast or something, because it also coincided with the fact that I'm also going through a lot of physical and emotional changes, and I could not figure out what was driving what, right? But then I had a whole issue with like a female issue that required surgery. And like, and of course I ignored this for like 3 months, like a really terrible issue I ignored for 3 months because I was like, well, it's, I'll deal with it later. It's not impacting my life. And when I finally woke up and like,
I don't need certain things in my body.
Oh, my OBGYN, who's absolutely badass and hilarious. And she just looks at me and she's like, yeah, the uterus is a little bitch. She's like, she knows when something's wrong. I wanted to be like smoking a cigarette right there and being like, uterus.
Having a moment.
Just having a moment.
Your OBGYN.
I was like, God damn it. So, and I could do a whole series on how like women's health is also medieval because, I admit that, a lot was going through my head. Like I thought I was going to feel triumphant. I was going to create this space and have all this like new energy to like do different things. And I felt very defeated. I was like, fuck, this is finally happening. I'm finally making the big girl decision that's right and probably healthy. And it's what everybody needs. And, and here I am like, getting shit on again. Like, what does my karma suck? Like, am I doomed? Like, does God hate me? Like, I'm like, you go into that negative, like death spiral. Right. But I had to really like pull myself back and be like, you must have grace. This is, you should have expected this because you have basically been living on drugs for 3 years. You should have known, that this is what rehab would be like. I was like in withdrawal and shit started to go bad, and then of course they did put me under anesthesia and I came out and for whatever reason, I thought I was in a McDonald's drive-through. Like, cool, how are you doing? It's a question to make you like, they make you like fast and stuff, which is not something I'm good at. And, I'm all screwed up and I'm all screwed up emotionally. I'm all screwed up, like having the surgery. I don't even know how I got here. And I was just like, I'll have a 10-piece chicken McNugget with sweet and sour sauce. I mean, I ordered it from the surgeon and he was like, sorry. And I was like, don't forget the sauce. You always forget the sauce. The surgeon came out later and was like, that was hands down one of my favorite anesthesia moments. Like that was classic. He's like, I have never drive-through before.
In the last like month, he has definitely gone to McDonald's and gotten McNuggets with sweet and sour sauce.
I hope he tells everybody who's hoo-ha he's gonna like.
I don't get McNuggets often, but that damn sweet and sour sauce that's been made the same way for the last like 30 years.
It's ridiculous.
It's so underrated.
I hoard it. Like I'm telling, I have like a little like like a extra sauce that I like keep.
Yeah, because I have sweet and sour sauce in our refrigerator. It's not the same.
It's not the same. No, there's no comparison. That you can get a little holder for your car, by the way, that holds your nugget sauce. Like there's actually I've seen it like on Amazon. It's like a nugget sauce holder.
No.
Like, yes, I need to buy that. I need to find that. It's probably another one of these things that is not.
That's another one of the things you probably shouldn't be buying at this point in your life. Like,
I'm gonna put Snoop on my shoulder and just like walk around with him and be like, when I'm having a moment and like need a little consideration, like, yeah. But yeah. Then also I'm just learning a lot about like there are so many indignities also in being unemployed. Like I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out things like benefits and retirement and not having an employment.
Okay, can we stop there for a second? Can we talk about, if you don't know Nicole, this epitomizes Nicole. So she texts me, and usually these are like, well, I'm blow drying my hair. And then I'm like, why did it take me an hour and 15 minutes to get ready? Oh, because I was texting Nicole for half an hour. And she's texting me the drama about trying to sign up for benefits. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Nicole, like, can anything just be drama free? Like figured out. And so I finally say, hey, I've got a friend that used to work at our, Connecticut Exchange, Access Health CT or whatever. Let me write her. because you're having problems. I'm like, whatever. Nicole's so smart that sometimes she like over her Mensa mind over, over
Overcomplicates things.
yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, I connect her with friend connects her with somebody. Tell them what they found out. Like, oh, this is you. Like, this is you in a bottle right here.
So, obviously Cobra benefits, while I appreciate them, are incredibly expensive. So I was trying to use the exchange, the Obamacare exchange, to get some benefits. And it was a complicated, unclear process for first time sign up. So first of all, as a process person and like an Enneagram 1, I am already off my fucking rocker.
Mm-hmm.
Guru Nicole is already down a rabbit. It's like rabbit hole approaching. You are not a rabbit. I'm already in there. Send the terrier after me. I'm head first, right? I'm already deep in, like, losing my mind and being like, I can't get away from this shit even after I quit my job, right? So I'm like, I'm losing my mind. I spend 10 hours trying to sign up for benefits, and I do all the things, talk to the people, whatever. They keep trying to sign me up basically for something that I know I am not qualified for, which ultimately sounds great, but is going to bite me in the ass.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to end up owing like $10,000 someday.
Right. I'm going to end up being rejected in the middle of something. Like, and I have ongoing care. Now I have ongoing care issues, right? I didn't have that before, but now I've got ongoing issues. And I'm like, I got to make this transition smooth from the like $1,000 a month that they want on Cobra to the whatever I'm paying in the exchange, right? Not an easy process. So turns out that, and I just want to say everyone was very nice and very helpful. And all these frontline people, I can imagine in open enrollment, like they all had their scripts. Like I am sure they were trying very hard, but like could not answer complicated questions, right? And so it turns out that there was some kind of glitch in the system where, a lot of the decision making and the algorithms are based on compensation. And if you don't have traditional compensation, bad shit happens in the system. And it turned out that there was some kind of glitch in the open enrollment system this year where they weren't considering a type of compensation appropriately, which was putting everybody into basically the free Medicaid program. Everybody into the free Medicaid program. We're talking about people with millions of dollars in assets in free Medicaid program. And, at first, I kind of pointed out the anomaly of this, like where I was like, here's what I'm coming with. It seems odd that this would be the situation. Finally, your friend, a senior level person, talked to me and she was like, actually, I think, you probably did something wrong. So of course they turn it back on me and I probably did something wrong. They go back into the system, they look at it, and it turns out that something wasn't being calculated the right way, or there was some algorithm running in the background. And so like thousands of people had, I think, been signed up for basically free Medicaid, which was not appropriate. And so I think they flipped the glitch and now people can appropriately buy insurance. And you would say like, well, why would you do that? And it's like, look, I mean, those free programs are great, but one of the trade-offs is that they lack choice. And if you already have an existing care situation with care doctor, your care, like, and I can't believe that this is my life now. I'm like, I didn't think about these things. All I thought about was doing my job. Now I'm thinking about like, how can I continue to see the doctors I've been seeing? Like these kinds of things that materialize after you lost employment or stepped away from employment, like the complications of life that I have not considered before have like increased exponentially in some ways. And this was just crazy because they, my argument was like, I am willing to give you money so that I can maintain choice. I was like, I have no control over anything else in my life. Don't take this away from me, right? So when they looked into the system, they saw that there had been some glitches. I think they fixed it and were able to reorient that. But,
it's a funny story just because I feel like it's so you, but I think it's also important for people to know, as much as like it was a tough thing, you had to spend time on it, but you also have benefits. I mean, so many people feel stuck and that they can't make a change, even if it's temporary, because they're like, but what about my benefits? It's like, well, no, those can be purchased. And yes, you may have to spend a little time and hopefully,
you will have to spend time. You may have to fix an entire system.
Right. Well, you probably won't because Nicole is ahead of you.
But took care of it for you.
Took care of it.
But,
It's
at
just
the end
funny
of the
that I
day,
think
these are things that you don't lose. It's just things that you have to figure out. And even I was
you have
telling
to plan.
somebody I was joking actually just I think today, and and I'm not saying, hey, like everybody just screw it, leave, get your own benefits, go to be an entrepreneur. But even like, for example, when you make a transition and you potentially become an entrepreneur or you work for yourself, as a freelance or whatever, you think it's going to be the like complicated, complex stuff that no, you figure that out. It's the inertia comes from like, I have to get my own laptop. I have to figure out how to get a personal email account. Oh, do I need a QuickBooks account? And guess what? Like they're actually all Googleable. They're all solvable. But we get in this complicated world in our jobs doing like machine learning and AI and algorithms and PowerPoints and strategy. And then we like become so atrophied that we think we can't handle things like getting our own personal computer and figuring out if they need a new and actually, once you slow down and just say, okay, I'm just going to step through, like you did with benefits. You're like, I'm just going to have to focus a day or a week on this. And it is what it is. And it's
a month. Like even today, I was fighting with the Cobra people and talking to the exchange people. Like even today, like, yeah, it's going to take time.
But yeah, you have to. You're like, you're doing it, right? And it's, I don't know. It's just, I think
you can't plan for everything, but you can plan for a lot. And I think you have to recognize that your energy is going to go towards different things, right? It's not going to be a straight shot. Like one thing that I thought like I would feel this great sense of relief. And in some ways I did. I also feel an incredible amount of nostalgia. I feel an incredible amount of gratitude. I feel, sad in some ways. It's been hard to let go in other ways. I have some things I wish I'd resolved differently, but like, there's quite a bit, there was quite a bit that startled me in the moment of all the things that I thought I would feel, see, do, experience were totally or mostly different than what actually happened, right? Like,
give an example.
Yeah, I mean, besides the incredible like series of health shit that happened and that I'm still recovering from, because then, I finally am feeling better and I go out for one day on New Year's Day and I get COVID it was in fact COVID from like sharing a plate of nachos. And like, they were some damn good nachos, let me tell you, but like, hey, everybody, don't share nachos with a stranger in a bar at the moment. Like, that's a bad idea. I did bad. I am vaxxed. I am boosted. The nachos took me down, Erin. Like,
damn nachos.
Just say no to nachos. Just say no to communal nachos.
Which is funny. That was the same thing I was eating the other night when you were doing your colonoscopy prep. And I was like, I am not going to tell her what we're eating for dinner on this Sunday night. We had like, this is not normal for us, but we had made like nacho. We're like, oh, let's just do some nachos. It's cold out. Like, and
now you brought that up. They snuck that little number in on me. Like, as I'm going through all the health stuff, they're like, oh, you haven't been to a doctor in multiple years. I'm like, yes, it's called COVID. They're like, well, you're 45 now. So here's a bunch of things that we used to do at 50 that were horrible that now you're doing at 45. And of course, I am like, Erin, like, let me tell you, I feel like I've been mostly recovering for the last like 2 months from something. I was like, sure, colonoscopy, just fucking schedule this thing, whatever. How bad can it be? Holy shit. It was like being in Survivor, like the prep with like Survivor. Like it was the coldest day of the year. So I'm fucking freezing in my house. Okay. I'm starving because I haven't eaten in 36 hours, right? Like I'm everything I've ever looked at with my two eyes or have put my lips on is coming out of the backside. You know what I mean? And I can't sleep because I'm running to the bathroom the whole time. I'm sweating. I'm cold. I was like, this is like a game show. And so of course, I'm telling them this as they're putting me under. And don't you know, I come out of that colonoscopy, all things great. And I was like, did I win? Did I win?
And I win.
They're like, no one's ever described it as Survivor. I was like, are you kidding? I don't know, naked and afraid. Like, I was like, whatever. Like, I was like, I'm so over all of this stuff. I'm over like the dignity. I have no dignity left. Like, it is what it is. It's fine. So, and by the way, so if 45 is the new 50, if you have not talked to your PCP about getting a colonoscopy, don't be horrified by my experience. Do it.
And I will tell you, when you get done with it, you will appreciate it. Just 36 hours of not eating, you will appreciate everything so much more. Every food, everything that touches your lips.
I was like chewing my fingers off. I got to the point where I wasn't even hungry anymore. I just hated people.
Oh yeah. I called my mom at like 12:30 on the first day, and I was like, I can't do this. It's like I had 24 more hours to go.
I was feeling it. I was feeling it. And I'm not over everything. I've had some lingering issues from COVID. I've got a couple other things going on, but I think, quite honestly, like, I have realized how powerful adrenaline is as a drug and how long it kept me going, maybe doing things that maybe I shouldn't have done. And I can't tell you exactly why, I chose that. I can't exactly tell you why, things were not, after I had built this thing and done something. I mean, I love philanthropy. I love this kind of work. I love the communities I worked with and the people that I worked with. Like, I can't exactly say why, but there was something in me, like, I was like, I brought my authentic self to work and they didn't fucking like it. but that's only
Thanks for ruining our entire thesis.
yeah. They didn't like it so much, but I think that there was, for me, the humbling part of this is that there's not just that there's so much learning in all of this, but there's so much unlearning. There's just so much I have to unlearn, Erin.
Hey girl, what's up?
Well, this weekend I put aside watching Bridgerton, episode 5, in order to binge on your new book. What does that tell the world?
Well, that's pretty sad. You need to go back and watch that episode. But yeah, the book is out. You Do You-ish is out on Amazon, and I am blown away by the feedback that I'm getting on the book.
You-ish is awesome because You-ish finished this project in a super timely manner and delivered us something that is delicious, devourable, funny, easy to enjoy, and it's practical, and you get a lot out of it. Maybe not as much as Bridgerton episode 5, but it's pretty good.
Pretty close. Well, check it out, guys. More stories about Nicole in there, more fun, more inspiration. You can simply go to Amazon and search You Do You-ish.
Enjoy.
What are some of the things you're going to unlearn?
The addiction to adrenaline, the listening to myself about, what is an environment that I thrive in, thinking thoughtfully about that, recognizing that some change is great, but might not be great for you, understanding that and having more honest conversations about that. There are just some things that there are some things that you can navigate, and there are some things that you just can't. Like, not everything is fair. Not everything is right. Not everything is perfect, right? Not everything can be undone or fixed or undermined. Like, some of this is objective. Some of this is subjective. Some of this is luck. Some of this is talent. Some of it is opportunity. Some of it is, missed opportunity. Like, you can't control all of that, right? But constantly looking at how the pieces are falling and calculating, your odds or where you are or what's right, that needs to sort of happen all the time. This is not a linear path. You're not in the thing and pushing forward, relentlessly pushing forward. Sometimes you have to reshuffle the deck chairs, the puzzle pieces. You have to take a step back. You have to take a look, and you have to really assess, what it is you're trying to do and what you want to achieve and what you can achieve. And you always have to have a reserve bank of energy to shift. And if you do not have that reserve bank of energy to shift, and that's where adrenaline can blind you. It can blind you because it's a very blinding drug. It can really just like you're like Speedy Gonzalez. Like Speedy Gonzalez was on a straight path, right? It's like whoop, forward, straight ahead, right? It's very hard to pivot when you're going 100 miles an hour, right? You got to slow down, you got to step back, you got to shift. Adrenaline really doesn't allow for that. So if you're functioning fully on adrenaline, there's probably a chance that you're missing opportunities to shift. And that's some of the unlearning that I want to do. Like I learned a lot from this experience, right? Also, there was an opportunity, and I thought about this because, I'm a multi-skilled person, to stay within sort of the entity, the organization, and to think about different positions. And I just like said to myself, I was like, at this point, you just don't hate yourself enough for that. And that has nothing to do with the organization. It was just where I am. Again, it's business. It's not personal. I just was like, can I bring my best self? Like, is given where I am right now, or what I want, or what I need, or what I've been telling myself, like, can I be the best possible person doing the best possible stuff for the greatest good, right now? And I was like, no, like, I literally don't hate myself enough to put myself in a position where I have to suffer for money, for benefits. I'm like, it was, it's a great job. I had gotten myself to, I built something I loved. I was getting an adult salary. Like I had patrons and mentors and supporters, and I had challenges, and, I had all the things, but like you always said, like, who's to say that this is the mountain? Who's to say this is the top of the mountain, right?
So what's
And
next?
I'm not looking. What's next?
In your no, and just in your detox, like not even like what's next, because we've talked about it, like that's still being formed. And I think for people, like, I think it's important, like these things are phases. And I think what you're saying is you're sort of in a detox phase, right? Unlearning, getting off of the addiction of the adrenaline, obviously healing your body. I think these all go in chunks, and I don't think you should think past a chunk. What do you think this next phase of the greater detox phase? What do you think? What do you think it's about?
It's about connecting. So I'm having a lot of really great conversations, and I'm trying to figure out, how to have better conversations, because also the world has changed in 8 to 10 years since I've been out there looking for work. I'm trying to open myself up to what like the new working world looks like. I mean, some of this whole great resignation shift and stuff is very much inspired by a younger generation of workers who have no expectation, even less of an expectation than we had, of being in a job or with a company their whole life, right? Or being in a career their whole life, or even being in one job, like gig economy, right? And I'm not talking about millennials. I'm even talking about like younger than that. Their view of work and life is just so different. And so I'm also trying to just get an understanding of like what that feels like and looks like. I'm trying to understand like what's my value right now? Like the world that I have worked in has changed. Like what do I actually have to offer people? And at what level? And I have done some interviewing, and I've done some applying, and getting a job feels a lot like winning the lottery sometimes, right? Like it can feel like,
All the stars have to align, kind of thing.
yeah, and it can feel like winning the lottery, and I don't want to feel like I have that little control, because I also know that I'm at the point where I have learned a lot, like I said, and unlearned a lot, and know kind of where I think I want to be and how I want to thrive. So those conversations will get me to a place, I think, where, I can legitimately find people who I want to work with and want to work with me. Like, I am not a solopreneur. I am not necessarily a brand. I don't see myself being, my own business. Like, I am somebody who is going to work a job or do a thing, most likely, in addition to maybe some other stuff. But the kind of work I do in the next couple of years, I think it has to allow me, or I have to allow myself to really to really continue to learn and grow. And that sounds so stupid and cliche, but it's so true, because I feel like this last couple of years of chaos has not just been my doing. Like, chaos and adrenaline, they can really change who you are and how you function in the world. And like, I look back at some of the ways that I used to work or used to be, and there were things that I liked about that as well. And it's like building this whole person who's got this whole career and experience and can bring that to bear, but is also a great mentor and a great leader, but also a great colleague, right? Like, it has, and is part of something that's both innovative, but is also maybe a little established. Like, I know what I fit and what I'm good at. So, finding those things, it's going to take some time. And shit, after all the work I've done getting benefits, like, I don't want to go back to work right away.
That would be a waste.
Spend a month of my life doing this shit. Like, I am.
Maybe that's part of your marketing
know
tool. Hey, if you hire me, I'll just bring my own damn benefits. I'm so in love with.
I'll be like, can you make me a consultant? Because like, I'm just really not ready to like deal with the exchange again. I can only imagine with the leaving, will come. But everybody loves comeback stories. My friend said, everybody loves comeback stories.
Everybody loves a comeback story.
And
I mean, so many of our listeners, like I was saying, like I feel like we're starting a desperate element. The number of SOSs that I get, unfortunately, has increased. And so from your perspective, what are a couple pieces of advice would you give to those people that are in a situation that does suck and it's not renovatable, if you will? And, what are the 2 or 3 things you think would be good for them to think about, based on your real-time experience?
I think one, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to own your own bullshit, and you have to avail yourself to say, you know what? I am open to new bullshit, because it's all bullshit. So like, you're not looking for perfection. You are looking for new bullshit.
Which kind of bullshit Sometimes you want to do? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So avail yourself to that. Number 1. 2, I think the unlearning is really important. And just like, some of the things that I need to contend with, and that I'm trying to contend with, but I don't know how. I think it's a lifelong process, is the health, the addiction to the hum or the drug of things, balance, sort of the constant thoughts of perfectionism, of this sense of punishment, self-hate. Like, these are all part of the addiction, right? You this narrative in your head that keeps you doing things. And look, you could apply this to a bad relationship. You could apply this to just about anything. But like, you get so addicted to the negative feedback from yourself.
Yeah.
As much as anything. Like, you have to unlearn that conversation with yourself and be like, okay, I'm going to avail myself to a different feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
That reserve pot of energy is really important. Like, if you take some of that energy that you're using to beat yourself up and to keep yourself in this position because you are struggling, you're doggy paddling, you're trying to make it better, you're trying to survive, you're trying to think, like if you take some of that energy, like, away from all that conversation, you potentially pivot to other things. And luckily I was able to do that. And I thought the right answer was, well, I need to start looking for another job. But I should have something to go to. And you know what? That was ego. The other thing I had to unlearn was ego. I had to be like, no, I needed to do the things that were unsexy. I had to spend some energy, like you said, like figuring out my home technology. I had to, save money. I wanted to have a little bit of a cushion aside so I could give myself a sabbatical if I wanted to. I had to, I had to put energy towards, figuring out what my financial future would look like, and what are some of the risks and trade-offs and rewards. Like, those are the things I had to have some conversations with people to level set expectations again. And I had to also recognize that people were going to treat me differently. Like, I have been amazed at some of the people who have made themselves present or re-present in my life, or are talking to me in different ways for good. I've also been really surprised by some of the people who have just failed on me. But that's temporary because everybody circles back. Like I said, reason or a season, but we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things I hear is this, fear of what people will think. And it's so funny because I actually just had a client today and I said, well, if you think of the 20 or 30 people that you care most about, sort of specifically within work, because it was a work situation, and who do you think will have, because she was worried about one narrative, sort of being played out versus another narrative. And as soon as we got specific and she started running in her head through like the main characters, if you will, she was like, well, no, that person, they're not going to think that. They're not going to think that. And
I don't even know if it matters. Like that's,
well, and there's one of the
narrative.
There's so much like, who gives a shit? Like other people's opinions aren't your, aren't your problem, all this stuff. But the reality is, the better way to think about it is even just start to get very, very specific and start to even imagine or to uncover. And it's amazing how you can quickly go, well, they're not, this person I care about isn't going to think. The other tool and technique is, I have people all the time, like if I leave, people will think like I failed or I don't know what I'm doing or whatever. And then the best technique is to think about how you feel. I always ask, like, think of somebody that that's left their job in the last 6 months. What were the feelings you had? And they immediately think of somebody and they start going, I was inspired. I was curious. I was rooting them on. And it's like, it's so interesting if you can just start to get specific and also reverse it and think about people in similar situations, whether they've happened or they're theoretical, like if it happened, what you'd think. And we have this disease. Where we think we're the only ones. Like we think differently than everybody else. And it's like, no, most of the time when this happens, people are jealous, curious, cheering them on, wanting to help, so many positive things.
Or let me be honest, they're so stressed out themselves because they're all operating in the same ecosystem that like they're not even thinking about
or
it.
They don't or they don't give two shits because they're,
and but that's the thing that hurts the worst is indifference, right? Like you used to be valuable to someone and now you're not, and they don't have time for you. That hurts. It is quite likely that people are not necessarily saying negative things about you because honestly, in the workplace, nobody likes gossip. Nobody wants to hear the negative, right? They want to hear the positive. So you're walking in being like, yeah, that person, boy, God, what happened to them? But yeah, fired that asshole. Like no one wants to hear that. Doesn't make you look good, right? It doesn't make you look good. And people like to talk about themselves. They like to talk about the good. So, it's hard to think about possibly the indifference. But the amazing thing is, and this goes back to some of the things that I learned early on in my career that I'm glad have stuck with me and that I want to retain and get back to, which is like, you never know who's going to be your boss. And I mean that, and you never know who's going to be your network connection. Like it could be the freaking janitor. It could be your neighbor. It could be the garbage man. It could be your mom, sister, brothers, dogs, dog walkers, whatever. Like be humble, be kind, be considerate, help when you can, be open, be available, because people remember that. And if they like being with you and they like being around you, they will also be inclined to potentially share opportunities with you or put themselves on a limb. Or they may say to themselves, like, I could potentially, benefit from, making a connection for this person. They may find value in it. Like, I'm always surprised who are the people who show up for me. Like, it's crazy. And vulnerability is not a bad thing. Like, I have been very honest with people. Like, I am, I'm figuring out my shit. I've had a lot of, crazy, like the leaving it's not as smooth as I thought because I, have had to deal with, a lot of health issues and whatnot. But I think, if anything, I have been, pleasantly surprised and almost overwhelmed by the number of people who want to connect with me. And it's not necessarily about opportunities, but it's just out of caring and curiosity, right? Like, how are you doing this? How did you do this? How are you making this work? How is this working for you? Like, lots of thoughts on that. What are you pursuing? And I have a lot of questions, and I have been asking people questions, and I have been, trying to figure out where I fit and what value I have as the world churns and turns, and what's important to me. Like, I don't necessarily want to commute 3 hours a day. I want some flexibility. I don't even know if I think I want to go back to a job, but I don't know. Maybe I would love a short-term opportunity that's more consultant-ish, or a turnaround opportunity. Like, I am really evaluating, all the things. And that's because I'm able to give myself space and time to have some good conversations that I could not do when adrenaline was driving me, just to show up and to do all the things and to keep up and to try to keep a lid on stuff. And I feel like I have an opportunity to be like, I feel like I'm Beowulf, like I'm some epic hero, like battling monsters and demons. Some of them are within me.
Hero's journey.
Yeah. Some of them are mythical. Some of them are within me. Some of them are external. But I'm like seeing them for real for the first time. And like, okay, so I hope I don't die yet. But I definitely don't want to be the tragic hero. But I think that, I hope a different, better version of me comes out of this. And I have to practice because the world has changed. So I'm humbled in the fact that, the process of applying is different. The people making decisions are different, many of them younger than me. I'm trying to figure out where I fit and where I serve, but like, that's not actually what I wake up thinking about every morning. What I wake up thinking about every morning is more like, how do I feel? How do I physically feel? Like, where is my energy level for the day? What's inspiring me? What do I want to know? Like, I have not just spent time going down the rabbit hole of like jobs and careers. I've also put time doing things that like I have long interested in me, like things about art and writing and finance, and just, I'll spend a day researching or learning about something, and just all those things that I want to do that ultimately can serve me better in life generally, because I'm not just trying to figure out who's going to give me a paycheck for the next 20 years. I am trying to figure out what is the next 20 years of my life going to look like.
Yeah. I love it. And I encourage you and our listeners, I sort of joke about the hero's journey. I really want to recommend, it's actually out on YouTube for free now. You used to have to, it was really hard to find a place to watch it, and you'd have to buy it or whatever. But there's a documentary called Finding Joe. Have you heard of this?
No.
And you can actually, I just found it on YouTube because I recommended it to somebody a couple of months ago. Finding Joe on YouTube. It's about an hour and a half long, but they've made it free out there. It's one of the things I watched as I was making my transition. And it's actually something my coach gave me. And to be honest, I remember when I first started watching it, it was a check the box exercise. I was actually getting ready. I was in a hotel room meeting with our client, Disney. I was out in Anaheim. I'm like, I've got to watch this stupid movie. And I'll never forget, I had like my laptop, forever the multitasker. I had it up next to, me getting my makeup on. I was just trying to like get it done and over with. And at some point, it was about 10 minutes in, I got totally mesmerized by it and ended up finishing watching it later that night in the hotel room. And I've watched it several times since then. And I think it's a really good one to set the stage. It just talks about the hero's journey and what that's like, but it really puts into perspective what you're going through, and that this next phase for you, no matter where you end, it is about a going out and, fighting demons and doing things differently and giving yourself the space and making change. And so I recommend it to you. Miss Nicole Licata Grant, but I also recommend it to any of our listeners that are thinking about maybe making a switch, making a change, which I know has been a theme of this one and a couple episodes ago. It's a really good documentary.
I'll just say this, like when people ask me how I'm doing, my answer is generally I'm somewhere between onward and oh fuck. And so that is where I am today. Maybe I should have started with that, but like that is where I am today.
And that's okay.
I'm between oh fuck and onward. Like, yes. Like, the hell did you do? You just blew up your life. And like onward, yes, we're doing it. But the other thing too, Erin, is that in this period of like humility and investigation and curiosity, and also like I am sitting in discomfort, and like I am not unhappy. I am not elated. I am uncomfortable. And uncomfortable is okay.
Yeah.
Like good things happen in discomfort. Like you don't get out of the king's quicksand because it's comfortable. You get out because it sucks, right? And it's like, this is not bad. It's just a little, it's not permanent, right? But I was in a period of discomfort. I still am in a period of discomfort. It is not linear. It is not the same, but like I am in a period of discomfort. And I have to do things that are not easy for me. One of them is to ask for help. I suck at that. We know that. You've been listening to me for 2 years. And as someone much wiser than me said recently, they said, Nicole, you've asked for help. Now take it.
You take it. I'll take it. I love it. Well, I think, thank you for sharing this. Like, I know it's been a process and we've talked about it for a while and sort of ready. We knew it was important again, because of some of our listeners who we stopped playing with Snoop Dogg.
He's here for us. He's here for me right now. He's here for me. He's
on his own hero's journey. But no, thank you for sharing it. And obviously, we'll continue to do our episodes. I mean, this is all about work doesn't have to suck. And this is how we roll. And because sometimes we're here for advice and snippets, and sometimes we just want to share our authentic journey. And many times that's Nicole, and a lot of times it's me. But I think there's so many people that can relate to you. And like, we know you're just going to keep telling us the stories, to keep telling us the real skinny on what it's like to go through the birth canal.
The real. I'm here for it. And like, I would love to talk to any listeners who are sort of contemplating this moment and want to talk more about it, or even how did some of the things that I planned for or didn't plan for, like I've kind of acknowledged some of it, but not all of it. And, I just want to, like, a couple of years ago, when we started this podcast, like it felt like, in economic terms, like a disruption, like it was a disruption in the fabric of my life. And for a long time, I was very stressed about it. Like many, many things have happened to me because of this podcast, good, bad, or indifferent. And I still know that, doing this and putting myself out there, us being out there, is serving some people. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's challenging, but like, I continue to be here because I believe in the bigger opportunity. And more than anything, I do not know that if I would be sitting here right now in one whole piece, as prepared and open-hearted and excited and full of possibility, and thinking about how I'm responding versus reacting, and like owning all these funny stories, and just having even the depth of the relationship I have with you, Erin, like had it not been for this podcast. So here's to the next phase. And if 2022 is about making these seismic shifts, I'm ready. I'm like Tonga. I'm ready to blow. Let's do this.
I love it. And I'm here for you. We're all here for you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for listening, everyone. We hope that, for some of you, this is, hitting home, and that you found some inspiration, and we'll keep on bringing it real so that work doesn't have to suck, or, it doesn't suck because you don't work, or both.
Both shizzle.
Both shizzle. All right. Good night.
Night. Hey girl, I cannot believe that we have recorded over 50 episodes from the virtual couch every week. But we don't make any bank. We're doing this for the love and not for the money.
Yeah, can I be honest? I kind of thought we'd kill each other by this point. So, resident do-gooder, what can people do to help us keep going?
Well, since you asked, a couple of things. One, you can rate or review the podcast on your favorite app. That would be awesome. You can subscribe and get us in your favorite podcast app feed weekly. Also awesome. You don't even have to look for us. But most importantly, share the love. Let people know your virtual secret. You're hanging out here and you're getting some virtual work-life therapy and everything in between. Invite a friend and expand their virtual universe. And the reason why? Because it's bold, it's badass, and it's basically better than drinking alone.